You are going through the pages of Think Big, the book on motivation and leadership. And today's topic is whatever you do, you get it back. All religions teach us the concept of heaven and hell, be it Hinduism, Islam, or Christianity. There may be some element of imagination in it, but then it's a great idea to deter the human beings from committing any crime because of the fear of going to hell after death. Whatever may be the truth of after death, one thing is quite clear about human actions, and it is one gets back exactly the same what one does. There is that great law of nature working everywhere, proving that what you sow, you reap that. We can, for the time being, rejoice on our cleverness and trickery over others, thinking that nobody has seen us, but it is the Almighty above, taking stock of all our good works or misdeeds. God's justice can be delayed, but is always there. In the words of William Shakespeare, virtue may or may not be rewarded, but evil is always punished. So, there is but need to be patient, prudent, and purposeful before jumping to any conclusion about the justice of the Almighty. There is a story about this. One day, a man saw an old lady stranded on the side of the road, but even in the dim light of the day, he could see that she needed help. So he pulled up in front of her car and got out. His scooter was still sputtering when he approached her. Even with a smile on his face, the lady was worried. No one had stopped to help her for the last 1 hour or so. Is he going to hurt me? He doesn't look safe. He looks poor and hungry. The thought process started creeping in the lady's mind. The man could see that she was frightened, stranded out there in the cold. He knew how she felt. It was those chills which only fear can put in you. He said, "I am here to help you, ma'am. Why don't you wait inside the car where it is warm? By the way, my name is Brian Anderson." Brian just smiled as he closed her trunk. The lady asked how much she owed him. Any amount would have been all right with her. She already imagined all the awful things that could have happened had he not stopped. Brian never thought twice about being paid. This was not a job to him. This was helping someone in need, and God knows there were plenty who had given him a hand in the past. He had lived his whole life that way, and it never occurred to him to act any other way. He told her that if she really wanted to pay him back, the next time she saw someone who needed help, she could give that person the assistance needed. And Brian added, "And think of me." He waited until she started her car and drove off. It had been a cold and depressing day, but he felt good as he headed for home, disappearing into the twilight. A few miles down the road, the lady saw a small cafe. She went in to grab a bite to eat and take the chill off before she made the last leg of her trip home. It was a dingy looking restaurant. Outside were two old gas pumps. The whole scene was unfamiliar to her. The waitress came over and brought a clean towel to wipe her wet hair. She had a sweet smile, one that even being on her feet for the whole day couldn't erase. The lady noticed the waitress was nearly 8 months pregnant, but she never let the strain and aches change her attitude. The old lady wondered how someone who had so little could be so giving to a stranger. Then she remembered Brian. After the lady finished her meal, she paid with $100 bill The waitress quickly went to get change for her $100 bill, but the old lady had slipped right out of the door. She was gone by the time the waitress came back. The waitress wondered where the lady could be. Then she noticed something written on the napkin. There were tears in her eyes when she read what the lady wrote. "You don't owe me anything. I have also been in trouble. Somebody once helped me out the way I am helping you. If you really want to pay me back, here is what you do. Do not let this chain of love end with you." There was a check of $400 as waiter's tip under the napkin. Well, there were tables to clear, sugar bowls to fill, and people to serve, but the waitress made it throughout the day. That night, when she got home from work and climbed into bed, she was thinking about the money and what the lady had written. How could the lady have known how much she and her husband needed it? With the baby due next month, it was going to be hard. She knew how worried her husband was, and as he lay sleeping next to her, she gave him a soft kiss and whispered soft and low, "Everything is going to be all right. I love you." Brian Anderson. There is an old saying, "What goes around comes around." Now please go through this story. One day, a poor boy who used to sell goods from door to door to pay his school fee was hungry, but found that he had no penny left in his pocket. He decided to ask for a meal at the next house. However, he lost his nerve when a lovely young woman opened the door. Instead of a meal, he asked for a glass of water. She thought he looked hungry, so brought him a large glass of milk. He drank it slowly and then asked, "How much do I owe you?" "You don't owe me anything," she replied. "Mother has taught us never to accept payment for a kindness." He said, "Then I thank you from my heart." As Howard Kelly left that house, he not only felt stronger physically, but his faith in God and man was strong also. He had been ready to give up and quit, but now he was charged positively. Years later, that young woman became critically ill. The local doctors were baffled. They finally sent her to the big city, where they called in specialists to study her rare disease. Dr. Howard Kelly was called in for the consultation. When he heard the name of the town she came from, a strange light filled his eyes. Immediately he rose and went down the hall of the hospital to her room. Dressed in his doctor's gown, he went in to see her. He recognized her at once. He went back to the consultation room, determined to do his best to save her life. From that day, he gave special attention to the case. After a long struggle, the battle was won. Dr. Kelly requested the business office to pass the final bill to him for approval. He looked at it and then wrote something on the edge, and the bill was sent to her room. She feared to open it, for she was sure it would take the rest of her life to pay for it all. Finally, she looked, and something caught her attention on the side of the bill. She began to read the following words: "Paid in full with 1 glass of milk." Think of those who serve. Did you ever find time to look back and contemplate on what use are you to any one of your fellow beings? Have you ever thought over the purpose of your existence on earth? It is true that every object, including human beings, are born with a purpose, but then how many of us know that? The prime objective of our existence is to be of some help to others. There lies the crux of the deep-rooted Indian philosophy of Paramarth, to be of some use to others. Now, read the following story of a great American who became the owner of a chain of hotels after serving as a waiter for more than 3 decades. In the days when an ice cream cone cost much less, a 10-year-old boy entered a hotel coffee room and sat at a table. A waitress put a glass of water in front of him. "How much is an ice cream, ma'am?" he asked. "5 rupees," replied the waitress. The little boy pulled his hand out of his pocket and studied the coins in it. "Well, how much is a plain ice cream?" he inquired. By now, more people were waiting for a table and the waitress was growing impatient. "4 rupees," she brusquely replied. The little boy again counted his coins. "I will have the plain ice cream," he said. The waitress brought the ice cream, put the bill on the table and walked away. The boy finished the ice cream, paid the cashier and left. When the waitress came back, she began to cry as she wiped down the table. There, placed neatly beside the empty dish, were 2 coins of 50 paisa each. You see, he could not have the cone because he had to have enough left to leave her a tip. Another story, helpless love. Once upon a time, all feelings and emotions went to a coastal island for a vacation. According to their nature, each one was having a good time. Suddenly, a warning of an impending storm was announced, and everyone was advised to evacuate the island. The announcement caused sudden panic. All rushed to their boats. Even damaged boats were quickly repaired and commissioned for duty. Yet, love did not wish to flee quickly. There was so much to do. But as the clouds darkened, love realized it was time to leave. Alas, there were no boats to spare. Love looked around with hope. Just then, Prosperity passed by in a luxurious boat. Love shouted, "Prosperity, could you please take me in your boat?" "No," replied Prosperity. "My boat is full of precious possessions, gold and silver. There is no place for you." A little later, Vanity came in a beautiful boat. Again, Love shouted, "Could you help me, Vanity? I am stranded and need a lift. Please take me with you." Vanity responded hotly, "No, I cannot take you with me. My boat will get soiled with your muddy feet." Sorrow passed by after some time. Again, Love asked for help, but it was to no avail. "No, I cannot take you with me. I am so sad. I want to be by myself." When Happiness passed by a few minutes later, Love again called for help. But Happiness was so happy that it did not look around, hardly concerned about anyone. Love was growing restless and dejected. Just then somebody called out, "Come, Love, I will take you with me." Love did not know who was being so magnanimous, but jumped onto the boat, greatly relieved that she would reach a safe place. On getting off the boat, Love met Knowledge. Puzzled, Love inquired, "Knowledge, do you know who so generously gave me a lift just when no one else wished to help?" Knowledge smiled. "Oh, that was Time." "And why would Time stop to pick me and take me to safety?" Love wondered. Knowledge smiled with deep wisdom and replied, "Because only Time knows your true greatness and what you are capable of. Only love can bring peace and great happiness in this world. The important message is that when we are prosperous, we overlook love. When we feel important, we forget love. Even in happiness and sorrow, we forget love. Only with time do we realize the importance of love. Why wait that long? Why not make love a part of your life today? Thank you.